Hey everybody, welcome to our inside scoop today on hypnosis and meditation and mindset. We have our panel of three here again this evening, and we're going to explore a little bit for you about the what hypnosis feels like to go through the process as a client, or in our case, we went through it quite a bit in our training sessions, of course, to learn the ins and outs of hypnosis, what it feels like, and how obviously how to do the hypnosis. So, I'd like to welcome Mary Beth and Barb to the session again, and we have a great time on Tuesday nights with us. So. Happy that you're able to join us either live or in the recorded version. And if you have any questions or comments, please type them in the box, and we'd be more than happy to try to answer them online. And if not, we'll certainly get back to you later. And Kelsey, welcome. Nice to see you here again. And with that, let's just take a moment. Barb, do you want to introduce yourself quickly, and then we'll get right into the show?
Sure, thank you. So my name's Barb Davies. I'm a certified clinical hypnotherapist and social worker and entrepreneur up in Thunder Bay, Ontario, Canada. And I trained with Mary Beth and Alan, and we've since become good friends, and we're really enjoying getting together every week and just educating people about hypnosis, meditation, and mindset, and just trying to dispel some of the myths and just teach people some of what we've learned, because it's super fascinating and it can really change your life, because it's changed all of our lives.
It has done that.
It sure has.
Mary Beth?
Well, hello.
Introduce yourself.
Yep. Mary Beth McCutcheon with Soul to Soul Hypnosis. I'm based out of Bentonville, Arkansas, and thoroughly love and fell in love with this body of knowledge called hypnosis and the subconscious mind. And my journey has just been one of fascination. Every time I could learn something new, it has just been amazing. And then having the extra opportunity to be able to share with individuals on Facebook this journey has just been amazing. So thank you very much, Alan, for causing all of this to be a reality for us.
My pleasure. I just realized I hadn't introduced myself. So I'm Alan Curtis, and I'm a certified professional hypnotist from Canada, as well as Barb. I'm on the West Coast, though, out in the nicer part of Canada, if I can put it that way. We like to brag that we don't get much snow out here. I live on Vancouver Island, so it's very mild. And we always have pity for those out in the frozen north of Ontario. So, anyway, happy to be here. This is just a really informal chat that we do each week, and look forward to sharing it with all of you. So let's get started. The topics are to deal with the inside scoop of hypnosis, and thought we would start off, Barb, if you would like to start off with just talking a little bit what the different levels of hypnosis are, and then we'll go from there.
Sure. Last week we talked a little bit about this, about the different brainwave states. So normally when you're in your everyday conscious state of awareness, you're in what's called a beta brainwave state. And when you go into hypnosis, the first state you would fall into would be alpha, and then you would go into theta. So if you had your brain hooked up to an EEG machine, you would actually see several different brainwave states happening simultaneously. But when we say you're in alpha, or you're in theta, or you're in delta, which is known as deep sleep, that would be the dominant brainwave state. So when you get into a light state of hypnosis, when you first start to go into meditation or hypnosis, you would first go into alpha, and then as you go deeper, you would go into theta. And we also pass through these states every morning when we wake up and every night when we go to sleep, because they're on the way to delta, which is the deep sleep state. And I actually did read some research last week that there's actually documented cases where people that are really skilled at meditation have actually documented being in a meditative state or a state of hypnosis in delta. So I found that interesting. It would be a light state of delta, because if you're in a deeper state of delta, you would be asleep. But the main stages that we're talking about would be alpha or theta. And alpha, I mean, if you close your eyes and start to focus on your breathing and slow your breathing down, you're an alpha right away. You can be an alpha with your eyes open as well. And theta is just a little bit deeper. So.
Right.
Barb, have you experienced hypnosis in any one of those states?
Yes, I'm not sure about delta, but definitely alpha and theta. Alpha is kind of a light state. When I notice when I myself am going into alpha, first of all, my legs get really heavy. My arms get really light, and I usually get little tingles on my face. I don't know why, but I always have to scratch my face, and I get cold. I need to put on a blanket. But it's I'm still aware of my body and everything. And then, I mean, like I said, I've never been hooked up to an EEG machine, so I'm just kind of speculating. But there's been several times when I've been in a state of hypnosis or meditating where I think that I've probably been in a theta state, because I've lost, I'm no longer aware of my body, and I just feel like I'm consciousness floating. Like I can't, I'm not aware of my body anymore. And it just feels like I'm in my brain, and it's a state where you feel immense peace and joy, and you just feel connected to everything. And I would imagine that's got to be either very deep in alpha or in a theta state.
Right.
Yeah, so that's been my experience. How about you, Alan?
Yeah, similar. It's funny about I often find myself sort of scratching at a imaginary spot on my cheek for some reason.
Yeah.
But I guess it's to do with the nerves just relaxing, and the change that occurs presents itself as a bit of an itch sometimes. But similar to what you're describing for me, and Mary Beth just coming back on. So the thing I find most frequently is that as I go into hypnosis, it's almost like sort of like driving in the car and not being aware of where you are. You know, your mind is somewhere else, and you're sort of daydreaming and just not really with the moment. You know, you sort of go off into that funny area where nothing is really quite the way it should be. And it's quite an enjoyable place, actually. And then I would drop off into what I would call a deeper level of hypnosis, perhaps and almost like a sleep-like mode. In some cases, I don't recall, I don't remember what's happened. In other cases, I've gone through hypnosis and remembered everything. So each episode is different. I guess that's the best way to describe it. Yeah. What about you, Mary Beth?
I missed a little bit of that because I had some technical difficulties, like we always do every
Welcome
week.
Back.
So what was the question?
Talking about experiences of going into hypnosis and the different levels of hypnosis, how they impact you.
Yeah, so there have been times whenever my conscious mind was very active, and I didn't get to experience the full hypnotic experience because my conscious mind wasn't allowing that to happen. But when there were times whenever I released and I was able to fully enjoy that hypnotic state, even from a hypnotist standpoint, I kind of know what's going on, but when I have someone to guide me and I allow myself to just let go and not even think about the process, then I've had some amazing times. It's just things that you really can't articulate and explain and help people to understand, because where the subconscious chooses to go is its own path. And it's just been fascinating. But in the end, every single time, no matter how deep I went or how light I stayed, the experience was one of complete relaxation. And it is just so, it's like taking this really great nap. And it just made you feel so good. So I don't care. Light or deep, doesn't matter to me. It's going to be a fun time.
Yeah, that's so true. So true. Yeah. And what about one of the things that I often have people ask is about guided meditation and self-hypnosis. We sort of have three separate things there that people talk about, or three topics. And I wonder if we could just talk a little bit about what the differences are between those, and what the experience might be, how the experience might be different. Mary Beth, is that something you can talk to?
Oh, absolutely. So whenever I practice self-hypnosis, and that's whenever I first started learning this body of knowledge about hypnosis, myself is all I had to practice on. Because it takes a while when you're in the beginning stages to get willing volunteers, right? And so I practiced on myself for a really, really long time. And when I practice self-hypnosis, which I do on a pretty regular basis, it would be like what Barb described as being that lighter state of hypnosis, because in order for you to efficiently practice self-hypnosis, you have to have some sort of conscious activity going on to help you know what to do next. So I love to practice self-hypnosis, and it winds up being sometimes that emergency intervention that I might need. So I become overwhelmed with maybe deadlines or maybe so much activity going on that I need to get back to center. Then I will practice self-hypnosis, which again, it feels like a very light state. I'm consciously aware of everything that I'm doing, but I'm also very consciously aware of what I want to accomplish in that session. So I will use, whether that be affirmations or whether that be just some guidance to say, allow this situation to happen, or to whatever the need is that comes about. That conscious activity directs the subconscious. But the thing that is totally required is that ability to hone in, get to center, get rid of all of the rest of the stuff that is happening in the world around you, and to just have that time to yourself. And that is part of what we call that extreme relaxation focused concentration.
Right. Good idea not to watch the news just before your session then.
Yeah. I try not to watch the news if I don't have to at all. Because it doesn't.
Good advice, I think, yes.
A whole lot of positive out there, but yeah, you have to be, there's awareness that you need to have. But when I have that opportunity though, because as a hypnotist, I'm sure both of you recognize that you're the one helping guide other people. When I have that opportunity for someone to guide me through hypnosis, and I just open myself up and allow myself to go to the deepest state possible, because that is so much more rewarding, right? And you just get to really let go and relax. And it is so fabulous, and that's why I'm a huge proponent of practicing either self-hypnosis or guided hypnosis and or meditation through the MP3s that you can purchase online pretty much anywhere. But I'm very much a proponent of allowing a hypnotist to guide you through the process, because that's where you really get the best benefit. Me personally get the best benefit from that perspective. How about one of you?
Great.
What have you experienced in that space?
Yeah, Barb?
Okay. Well, when most people think of meditation, you're thinking of the Buddhist monks where they just kind of sit and empty their mind. And, I've done that, but I honestly, I don't really find it that enjoyable, to be honest. I do it once in a while if I'm really stressed out and just feel like I need to relax, something like that is fine. But normally when I want to meditate or use self-hypnosis, it's because I have a goal, right? Something I want to work on. I have a headache or, whatever. So, I find that the self-hypnosis, it's a little bit hard, because when you get in deeper and your conscious mind checks out, you can no longer give yourself those hypnotic suggestions and the positive affirmations and stuff like that. So, but if you're in a light state of hypnosis, you can definitely do that, because there is a little bit of the beta or the conscious awareness there. I find I too also prefer if I have a hypnotist or somebody guiding me. The audios, I enjoy some of the, I bought some audios that I really enjoy, but, they're not personalized for you. And you can't say, I want this and this and this suggestion, and, I want to do this differently. And, because it's just kind of buy one fits all size, right? But I do enjoy the, if another hypnotist is hypnotizing me, that's my preference as well. And, but I've noticed too that, I've had great results from either being in a light state of hypnosis or in a deeper state. Like I've been able to make some pretty dramatic changes, regardless. Even a couple times I was, being hypnotized by somebody else and didn't really feel like I got in that deep. And I was kind of thinking, I don't know if I got any benefit from that session, because I heard every word and I just felt like I was sitting there with my eyes closed, daydreaming a bit. And I didn't really feel like I was very deep in a state of hypnosis. Like I didn't really feel like I'd been hypnotized, but I still got excellent results from it. And I was able to make the changes I wanted to make. So, hey, it all works. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Alan?
What about self-hypnosis? Everybody, you hear the term, I do self-hypnosis. Can you maybe describe that, Mary Beth, for us, what self-hypnosis is and how effective that is?
So in my experience, self-hypnosis is when you're able to, and it starts with the mindset of meditation, when you're able to just find a place and a space where you can just be there and be there at that moment. And then allowing yourself to just invest in yourself in that moment, whether that means getting into a quiet place or a space where nobody's going to see you or whatever works for you. But then getting to that place, but then it's the next step, from the meditation of doing the breathing and getting to center and just trying to close out all of those thoughts. But the beautiful thing about hypnosis and meditation, but the beautiful thing about hypnosis is that the thoughts are going to come. So especially if I'm working on a problem, the thoughts are going to come, but to acknowledge them and say, I'll get back to you in just a moment. I want you to step aside and allow myself to be in this time, in this space. And getting the breathing going and calming that nervous system down to the point that you can focus on, it's either a problem I want to solve and I want my entire brain resources that I can access to be able to solve that problem, or it's a problem I want to get rid of, and to allow myself to access those resources that will let me work towards solving that problem. So for me, I don't know about everybody else, but for me, that feels like I'm getting into the quiet. getting into a breathing pattern, getting into a focus of what I want to accomplish. And I guess the best way I can describe it to you is in one time at my work, I had this break time, and I had this ability to get to this quiet place at this break time, but I was entirely stressed about a problem I needed to solve, and I needed to have an answer very, very quickly. And I didn't know the answer. I'm not a subject matter expert in the field in which I needed to get an answer, but I needed to get an answer. So I got myself in a quiet place, got myself to a place where I can breathe. And now this is going to sound a little kooky, and I apologize, but I just pictured what my brain looked like on the inside. And you can all go there, right? You can see the image of a brain and all the little squiggly things on the left side and the right side and all of that squiggly stuff. And I just imagined it to be like knotted up spaghetti. And then I allowed myself to imagine that spaghetti was out and it's stuck inside of the skull, my skull. But I imagined if my spaghetti brain was able to open up and stretch out and just like, you know how much better you feel whenever you stretch and allow your muscles to go? I pictured that I was allowing my brain to do that. And the knotted up places in my brain were just starting to flow with information and allowing that stretching out and the expanding of my brain to allow that thought process to expand too. And then there comes a time when you got to bring it all back together. And so the brain needs to assemble itself back into the skull. But in the end, whenever I finished that meditation / self-hypnosis, because I was a little bit deeper than meditation, when I finished that, I was able to think more clearly because the thoughts of, I don't have an answer, I don't know what to do, I can't figure this out, they were gone.
Those are
and
gone.
I was trusting the fact that my brain can flow and its thoughts can go and the answer can come. And so I got past that crucial deadline that I needed to get just to get something out. Some people call it writer's block or whatever it is, but just to get something out. So if that can give you an image of what self-hypnosis looked like for me, yeah, that was a pretty effective one. A little graphic, but pretty effective.
No, that's great. I'm getting some feedback here. Barb, why did you go ahead?
Sure. Are you getting feedback from me?
No.
No? Okay. Well, I do self-hypnosis too sometimes. Usually if I have a headache or something, or one of the most actually amazing experiences I had was last summer. I was out in the garden doing some yard work, and I have 2 herniated discs in my lower back, and I woke up the next day and I could barely walk. I was just in so much pain. And so I just laid down and closed my eyes and focused on my breathing and just kept saying to the word heal, heal, heal. And I don't really feel like I got super deep or anything like that, but I just did that for about half an hour, and then I got up and the pain was completely gone. And I was like having trouble walking half an hour before that, and it was like gone. I was just, I mean, I know the power of the mind, but I kind of shocked myself. I was thinking, well, that's pretty good, So, I mean, I usually do the self-hypnosis if I have a goal like that, right? Yeah.
And that's a great example of how, in my situation, it was a visualization, right? That brought about the result. In your example, Barb, it was the affirmation of healing, healing that brought about the result. But nonetheless, the end result was exactly what we wanted to accomplish, right?
Yeah.
The power of our mind it's amazing to me.
It is amazing, that's for sure. Yeah, it looks like I'm okay now. You can hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay.
Just fine.
Yeah, and similarly, I guess in terms of the results that we got from these experiences and the calming relaxation, the shedding of anxieties, etc. It is quite amazing. I had along those lines, I had an experience just the day before yesterday when I did a recording for a client on anxiety release. I put a lot of effort into it because I kind of had a delicate situation going on, and I really wanted to be helpful and to give her something that she could use on an ongoing basis to help her to overcome her anxiety. And so, of course, I was doing my quality assurance and listening to my tape, and I quickly put myself under. And I was totally gone. I woke up just feeling wonderful, and so it worked. It passed the test, and I passed it on to her, and she was very happy. So we're not immune to it, certainly, and so that was a case. I guess you could call that self-hypnosis, and that basically I was listening to myself give myself directions and suggestions that I must say have had a positive effect. I felt extremely positive and willing and energized, I guess, and focused and ready to go. And so I need to do that more often, I think, and just listen to my own recordings. But kind of a fun result.
That's why I love giving guided hypnosis sessions, is because even though everything is focused to that client, and most of the times I personally deal with the very same thing that client is struggling with. And I benefit from conducting that session.
You do. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. So I might be a junkie in that respect, and just dearly love being able to help individuals get through. It's so very rewarding. And I know, especially you, Alan, and then Barb, I also know from your experiences, you've experienced that own reward for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Definitely.
Yeah. Also, I find when I'm doing the hypnosis sessions that I get into a very light state of hypnosis in terms of you get yourself into a rhythm and a delivery mode, I guess, of the instructions that you're giving and suggestions, and you almost get into a trance-like state yourself, and it's quite interesting to experience. I can't really describe it, but quite interesting.
It's very relaxing.
What's that?
It's very relaxing.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it's very therapeutic, I think, for both parties. And, when you build that trust and rapport between the two individuals, even online, I mean, it sounds, people look at me in disbelief that we can do this online and build a relationship with somebody online to the extent where you can interact in this way. But it's that feeling of trust and connection, I think. And so when you're going through the process, you're actually experiencing it. I mean, again, it's really hard to describe in words what you feel, but I definitely have felt a very connected relationship with everybody that I have done hypnosis with. So pretty amazing.
And that's our world today, right? Our world is very virtual. And so there's no reason why hypnosis wouldn't work virtually just as effectively as it works whenever people are one-to-one. It just depends upon the individual client's preference. But I am with you there, Barb and Alan. Whenever I'm done with a session, especially when I've had back-to-back sessions, I am so mellow the rest of the day, because I have just received also all those benefits that the client has. So bring it on. I love that feeling.
You hit the bed and boom, you're out, and wake up 8 hours later just feeling wonderful. Yep. I had one of those nights last night, actually. I slept so soundly. I think it must have been the soundest I have slept in quite some time, and woke up this morning just feeling, wow, and everything was bright and positive. It was a nice experience.
Yeah. Don't you guys find too that after you've meditated or been in a state of hypnosis that you require less sleep? Like I do.
It ebbs and flows for me. Sometimes
Yeah.
yes, no, but yeah, I have noticed that phenomenon.
Yeah, I have as well. Yeah, I'm often, I'm down in the basement for the summer, so it's nice and cool down here during the day, and I totally lose track of time because I don't have any clocks around and I don't wear a watch, and my phone is turned off most often. So I often will be working away on something or listening to something or taking a course or doing whatever, and look at my clock and, oh my gosh, it's 2:30 in the morning, and so off I go up to bed, and 8 o'clock comes around and I wake up like normal, but you feel just great, and it's you can't do that for too many nights in a row, but I do find that I feel much more energized in the mornings than I have for quite some years, for a lot of years, looking back on how it used to be.
Yeah, me too. I mean, before you go to sleep, you always look at the clock and you're thinking, oh, you're calculating how many hours of sleep you're going to get. and then I wake up the next morning thinking I should be tired, but I feel amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It does something. It definitely.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah, I think just that deep state of relaxation, it it helps relax you, for sure.
Well, before we start to move on to the next segment, I want to recognize all of the folks that are out there watching us live and sending your hellos. Hello. Thank you for sending those through. We love to see that. We love to know that you're here and you're listening, and especially the people on the replay. We appreciate you also. But thank you for your support. We're so glad you came tonight.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning that, Mary Beth. I have been trying to bring them up as comments have been made. I kind of like to do that to show. And I noticed that Debbie Littlefield joined us a short while ago as well. And Debbie and I did an online interview separate from this group. We did an online interview the other day, and she's had terrific response to it with over 500 and some views. So very happy about that, and happy to welcome her to the show. And for some reason, the names aren't popping up for us. So sorry, I seem to have a bit of a glitch there. Normally, I can bring the names up and show them on screen, but for some reason, that's not happening. I'm not sure why. But thank you. Genia Elsie joined us.
Yeah, she's a great friend of mine. So thank you, Gina, for joining.
Good. So always nice to have people come on, and we'll try to acknowledge you as we can and bring your name up on the screen. So any questions, please pop them in the comments box. We are sort of out of time now, so we'll probably, we should wrap this up. And as usual, I'd like to thank Barb and Mary Beth for their participation in this. It's been a really fun experience for all of us, I think. And this is our 4th session. And hope you got some enjoyment and some educational value out of the session. And next week, we're looking forward to doing a session on mindset. We've been covering mostly hypnosis topics up until now, but we thought we'd change the topic a little bit, and we're going to talk about mindset and positive affirmations, the negative associations of positive affirmations, and explore that a little bit for you. So we hope that you will join us then at the regular time, and Mary Beth's demonstrating there for us the effects that those can have on your mind. Pretty amazing stuff. So, any last minute comments, ladies?
No, just join us next week and be ready to have your mind blown on some of the things that you're going to learn about that mindset and what it does to you or for you.
That's right.
Right. Okay, well,
you're-
thanks very much, ladies, and we'll chat soon. And thanks everybody who checked in. And if you're watching the recording, do put in comments because we will go back and review them and answer any questions that you might have. So all the best. Have a great evening and a great week coming up. So long.